You are walking through life with your emotional gates left wide open. A careless word from a stranger ruins your morning. A sudden unexpected change in your schedule sparks a wave of intense anxiety. Someone disrespects you and immediately a surge of anger takes over your mind, dictating your actions. You are operating like a puppet and the entire world is holding your strings. Society profits from your reactivity. The media, the algorithms, and the toxic individuals in your life all feed on your emotional volatility. They want you outraged, fearful, and impulsive. Because a mind that cannot regulate its own weather is a mind that is effortlessly controlled. But thousands of years ago, the Stoic philosophers engineered the ultimate rebellion. They discovered that true unadulterated power does not come from conquering the external world. It comes from establishing absolute, unshakable sovereignty over your internal state. They realized that when you learn to govern your emotions, you become a ghost to the chaos around you. You become emotionally untouchable. People will attempt to provoke you and their efforts will shatter against your silence. Circumstances will try to crush you and you will remain deeply rooted, in your own peace. Today we are going to lay out 9 Stoic habits that will permanently rewire your emotional architecture. This is not a guide on how to suppress your feelings or become a cold, unfeeling stone. This is a masterclass in emotional command. You're going to learn how to feel deeply without ever letting those feelings set in the driver's seat of your life. Before we begin this transformation, you must make a decision. If you are tired of being emotionally hijacked by a world you cannot control, hit the subscribe button right now. Join a community of modern builders who refuse to live on autopilot. Share this video with someone who needs to reclaim their peace. And do not skip a single habit. Each one is a vital layer of your new armor. Seal your commitment right now. Drop this exact affirmation in the music comments. I'm the sole architect of my emotions. Number 1. The discipline of the sacred pause. Your greatest vulnerability is your reaction time. When an insult lands or a sudden crisis emerges, your biological instinct demands an immediate response. Your brain urges you to lash out, to defend yourself, or to panic. In that microscopic fraction of a second, your emotions are attempting a hostile takeover. To become emotionally untouchable, you must train yourself to stretch that fraction of a second into a deliberate, agonizing pause. When someone tries to humiliate you, do not fire back. When an email brings bad news, do not immediately type a frantic reply. Freeze. Take a slow, measured breath. This pause is not a sign of hesitation. It is the ultimate display of psychological dominance. By forcing a gap between the stimulus and your reaction, you sever the world's ability to puppet your behavior. You observe the anger rising in your chest, but you look at it as a witness, not a participant. You acknowledge the fear, but you refuse to let it dictate your next move. When you master the pause, you strip the chaos of its urgency. You teach the world that your reaction is a premium resource and it will only be deployed on your exact terms. Number 2. Divorce your ego from the event. Most of the emotional agony you experience is completely manufactured by your own ego. When a relationship fails, when a business deal collapses, or when someone rejects you, the event itself is rarely what destroys your peace. What destroys your peace is the story you attach to the event. You tell yourself that their rejection means you are unworthy. You tell yourself the failure means you are incompetent. You take the neutral facts of reality and poison them with personal insecurity. The Stoic mind operates as a clean mirror. It reflects reality without distorting it with ego. If someone is rude to you, an untouchable mind recognizes that the rudeness is a reflection of the other person's internal chaos, not a verdict on your value. You must practice the habit of objective observation. Strip away the dramatic adjectives used to describe your life. Instead of saying, "This disaster is ruining my life," simply state, "A challenge has occurred and I must navigate it." When you divorce your identity from external events, you stop bleeding emotional energy. You realize that the universe is not conspiring against you. It is simply unfolding. And your only duty is to meet that unfolding with a calm, unbattered spirit. Number 3. Erect borders against emotional contagion. Emotions are highly infectious. If you spend your days surrounded by people who are chronically, music anxious, constantly complaining or deeply bitter, their psychological state will inevitably bleed music into your own. You cannot maintain an untouchable mind if you're leaving your doors wide open to toxic emotional smugglers. You must become a ruthless auditor of your environment. Notice how you feel after interacting music with certain individuals. If a conversation leaves you feeling drained, pessimistic, or agitated, you have just absorbed their emotional poison. 2. Gain emotional mastery. You must establish ironclad boundaries. You do not have to be rude, but you must become highly selective about whose energy you allow into your airspace. When someone tries to drag you into gossip, elegantly change the subject. When a sea orca begins a spiral of complaining, politely excuse yourself from the room. Guard your mental bandwidth with the same ferocity that you would guard your bank account. When you stop absorbing the panicked frequencies of the crowd, your own baseline frequency will naturally rise to a state of calm authority. Number 4. The daily surrender of expectations. Frustration is nothing more than the painful collision between your rigid expectations and an unpredictable reality. You expect people to be fair. You expect your hard work to be instantly rewarded. You expect traffic to flow smoothly. And every time reality breaks the script you wrote in your head, you experience an emotional crash. The ancient philosophers understood that expecting the world to bend to your preferences is a recipe for endless misery. To become emotionally untouchable, you music must adopt the habit of radical acceptance. Wake up every morning and consciously remind yourself that people will be difficult. Plans will fall apart. Unfair things will happen. By accepting the flawed, chaotic nature of music, the world before you even step out of your door, you eliminate the element of surprise. When a colleague betrays you, you do not spiral into disbelief because you already accepted that human loyalty is fragile. When a project fails, you do not collapse because you knew failure was always a mathematical possibility. You stop arguing with reality and start maneuvering through it. This absolute surrender of expectations neutralizes frustration before it can even form. Declare music your freedom in the comments below. I accept reality and release music my illusions. Number 5. Weaponize your dark emotions. Modern culture tells you to run from negative emotions. We are taught to number sadness, distract ourselves from anger, and medicate our music anxiety. But the Stoic recognizes that all emotion, even the darkest kind, is simply raw, unrefined energy. Anger, grief, and frustration are incredibly potent fuels. The difference between a weak mind and an untouchable mind is how that fuel is burned. A weak mind lets anger burn down its own house through destructive outbursts and impulsive choices. An untouchable music mind captures that anger and uses it to forge a masterpiece. When you feel a surge of intense negative emotion, do not suppress it. Feel the heat of it entirely, but then consciously redirect its trajectory. Use the sting of a rejection to fuel your next business venture. Use the heat of anger to power you through a grueling physical workout. Use the weight of sadness to write, to build, or to create something profoundly meaningful. When you learn how to alchemize your pain and to progress, you remove the world's ability to harm you. Every attempt to break you simply provides you with the raw materials needed to construct a stronger version of yourself. Number 6. The annihilation of the imaginary future. Think about how many hours you have spent suffocating under the weight of a tragedy that never actually happened. You agonize over losing a job you still have. You panic over a conversation that hasn't taken music place. You let your mind project horrifying simulations of tomorrow, and your body reacts as if those simulations are real. Anxiety is the act of living in a future that does not exist. It is a complete waste of your emotional reserves. The Stoic warrior anchors their mind violently to the present second. When you feel the spiral of overthinking begin, you must brutally pull your awareness back to the physical reality of the now. Focus on the sensation of air entering your music lungs. Look at the objects directly in front of you. Ask yourself, is there music an actual tangible threat occurring in this exact millisecond? The answer is almost always no. By refusing to engage in imaginary wars with the future, you conserve a massive amount of mental clarity. You stop fighting ghosts, which leaves you with the maximum amount of strength to deal with the actual challenges of today. Number 7. Master the art of internal validation. Your emotional stability will always be fragile as long as it relies on the applause of other people. If a compliment can elevate your mood to the clouds, then an insult has the power music to drag you down to the abyss. You're operating like a stock market, letting the crowd dictate music, the value of your shares. To achieve true emotional sovereignty, you must completely delist yourself from the public exchange. You must build a fortress of internal validation. This means measuring your worth against music, your own standard of character, not against societal metrics. Did you act with integrity today? Did you maintain your discipline? Did you speak the truth? If the answer is yes, then your day is a success, regardless of whether anyone noticed or praised you. When you stop starving for external recognition, criticism loses its sting entirely. Someone's music negative opinion becomes nothing more than background noise incapable of breaching the thick walls of your self-respect. You become a self-contained ecosystem of confidence. Number 8. The practice of voluntary stillness. We live in a society of escapists. The moment we feel a pang of boredom, loneliness, or sadness, we instantly reach for our phones, we scroll, we consume, and we distract ourselves music because we are terrified of sitting alone with our own unfiltered thoughts. But emotional untouchability requires intimacy with your own mind. If you are constantly running from your internal shadows, they will continuously chase you. You must cultivate the habit of voluntary stillness. Music. Dedicate at least 10 minutes every single day to sitting in complete music silence. No screens, no music, no distractions. Allow your thoughts to rise to the surface. Look at your fears, your insecurities, and your buried resentments. By facing them quietly without trying to drown them, music and noise, you slowly drain them of their terrifying power. You prove to yourself that your mind is a safe place to inhabit. When you become completely comfortable in the quiet corners of your own consciousness, the chaotic noise of the external world can no longer disturb your peace. Number 9. Act with the end in mind. Music. When you are engulfed in the heat of a frustrating moment, it feels like the most important thing in the universe. Adelaide flight, a rude comment, a lost opportunity. They feel music monumental because your perspective has shrunk to the size of your current annoyance. The ultimate Stoic habit for emotional control is the cosmic perspective. When you feel your emotions threatening to boil over, radically zoom out. Look at the conflict through the lens of a year from now. Will this argument matter in 12 months? Will this mistake be remembered in a decade? Will this inconvenience matter on your deathbed? When you hold your daily frustrations up against the vast, sweeping scale of your entire music lifespan, they instantly shrink into absolute insignificance. You stop wasting your precious emotional energy on trivial nonsense. You reserve your passion, your intensity, and your care exclusively for the things that truly echo in eternity. Emotional control is not a genetic gift. It is not an accident of birth. It is a grueling, beautiful daily practice of choosing discipline over default. The 9 habits we have laid out today are the blueprints to your new inner citadel. But a blueprint is useless if you refuse to lay the bricks. You have to actively choose the pause. You have to actively redirect music, the anger. You have to actively cut the cords of external validation. It will be uncomfortable, and your mind music will resist. But on the other side of that resistance is a level of psychological freedom that most people will never experience. You will walk through rooms and feel completely unbothered by the judgment of others. You will face towering obstacles with a quiet, lethal calm. You will look at the chaos of the world and smile, knowing that none of it can breach the walls you have built. If you have made it to the very music end of this video, you belong to the rare percentage of people who are actually music willing to do the work. Hit the like button to cement your progress today. Share this video with a friend who is fighting a quiet battle, and make sure you are subscribed so you never lose your edge. Leave your final vow in the comments below. I command my mind and I conquer me life. Stay grounded. Stay disciplined. Guard your fortress. I will see you in the next.